Hi, my name is Ruth.
And my name is Chris.
You must be pretty excited to talk directly with astronauts on the International Space Station today. While we're waiting for the space station to come over your portion of the sky, let's talk a little bit about how it's going to happen. Of course, Mission Control is in contact with astronauts all the time, using a big radio with lots of fancy equipment.
However, we're going to be using something very different today. We are going to use ham or amateur radio to talk directly to the International Space Station.
When most people hear the word radio, they think of a music radio station, but it's so much more than that. Radio actually refers to the unseen energy that transmits all sorts of signals using electromagnetic waves. At first, people learned how to send signals like Morse code, and then they discovered that you can send so much more, like data, computer signals, and even TV.
Maybe you don't realize it, but you use radio every day. Maybe you watched the TV this morning, or you texted your friends, or maybe even you checked social media like Twitter or Instagram.
Let's travel back to space for a minute. Since the beginning of the space age, humans have sent many spacecraft out into the universe. These range from the Hubble Space Telescope orbiting the Earth daily, and the Curiosity rover exploring Mars. We've even sent a long-distance messenger, the Voyager 1, who has traveled outside of our solar system.
Whether it's capturing a great picture of a far-off galaxy or conducting experiments on the space station, radio has to do with all of these. And today, you're going to be using ham radio. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is ham radio?
Amateur or ham radio is a service and a hobby where operators can talk with people around their neighborhoods, their cities, their country, and even around the world. Amateur radio operators require a radio license from the government. They're not that hard to get. I have one. My call sign is KM4LAO.
And mine is KD8YVJ. Our call signs are a way of identifying who we are to other operators. This lets everyone know that we have the proper license to using the radios.
As amateur radio operators, or hams as we are often called, we can talk with others about basically whatever we want, often science or some new radio gadget that we are interested in.
Let's focus back to the space station and your contact today. Many of the astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the space station are licensed ham radio operators. That's why your operators today can contact them. The people here, as well as the astronauts, are licensed to talk to each other, and you are allowed to talk over to their radio.
For our conversation today, we'll need an amateur radio station on the ground, either in this location or somewhere else around the world. We'll also need a radio in the space station.
NA1SS, NA1SS.
You can hear the calls coming. This is November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, the International Space Station, over.
On the space station, the radio transceiver is connected to an amateur radio antenna mounted on the outside. One of these antennas will be used today during our contact.
For our side of the contact, we need a good-sized antenna, a signal amplifier, something to make our signal stronger, and a rotator for turning our antenna. We have to keep our antenna pointed right at the International Space Station. And remember, it's moving across the sky and fast.
To aim the antenna properly, we need to track the path of the space station exactly. NASA uses complex systems to track the path of the space station and other orbiting objects.
The satellite tracking program we are using works out a complicated set of mathematics to provide the orbital location of the space station moment by moment as it moves through space. This information is sent into the computer that controls the antenna rotator, which moves the antenna to follow the space station. Maybe some of you have seen or worked with robotics. That's pretty cool stuff. And just like you can program a robot where to go, what to do, and how to get there, you can also program a computer to tell an antenna how to track the space station across the sky.
You know, it took a lot of planning to get this contact. Several weeks ago, the Arris operations team had to figure out when the space station's orbit would pass over this location. Then, they had to talk with the planners at NASA's Johnson Space Center. The crew's time is pretty full, so they were able to find a time that could work for the crew members' schedules. Once they found times that would work both in space and here on the ground, the host organized this contact. And in just a few minutes, you'll be hearing and talking to the astronauts.
Well, it's almost time for your contact. It will be exciting, so good luck with it.
Exploration is curiosity. It's asking the question why. It's taking that next step. Every time we do something for the first time, we're expanding our knowledge. My name is Sunny Williams, and I'm the pilot for NASA's Boeing Crew Flight Test Mission to the International Space Station. I feel really lucky to have grown up in a small town outside of Boston, Needham, Massachusetts. It was a great town because we were able to ride our bikes everywhere we went. My brother, sister, and I, we were all swimmers, and it was just a great childhood. My dad was a doctor and also did neuroscience research. We were the strange family who had pictures and diagrams of brains on our dining room table. My older brother went to the Naval Academy. I started researching a little bit, and I thought, well, what the heck, I'll try this out. And when I went, I found that I really loved it. Teamwork, followership, leadership, those opportunities that we had right from the very beginning, and to accomplish something a little bit bigger than yourself. And I think that paved the way for the rest of my career. Got a basic engineering degree from the Naval Academy. I really didn't know what it was all about when I went through that course curriculum, but when I went to test pilot school, all of that stuff sort of gelled together. I was like, oh wow, this is why we do math modeling. This is how we try to predict how change in an engine is going to affect the way the helicopter flies. Time on the International Space Station is priceless. People always ask, do you get bored, or, is it terrible being up there for a long period of time? And for me, I loved every minute. There was always something to do. You wake up, you look at your timeline like, wow, I gotta do this experiment today, I gotta get ready for a spacewalk. Every day was different, and just life on the space station becomes routine, which is sort of crazy to think about it. At one point in time on my first mission, I was like, I don't even remember really what it's like to walk. I've been flying around for so long, I don't even know what it's like to sit down. I got assigned to the commercial crew cadre in 2015. We went to the companies, found out the shell of their programs, and then actually started working with them to make them what they are today to accommodate astronauts. For Starliner, we've been heavily involved in the last couple of years in the software with the folks doing the development to make sure its capability will allow us to come home, and we've been involved with all the suit development, making sure every different size of person could fit in all these suits and they could operate the spacecraft adequately. We've had our fingers on every single procedure that we work inside the cockpit, as well as operated it with our mission control team to make sure that everything that future crews will do will be right. We haven't had the classic training as we had for Shuttle and Soyuz. We've sort of helped develop the training as well as the hardware, and this is sort of the shape of things to come as we get ready to go back to the moon. All of that is going to be developmental, and we're going to have the same mindset. It's not already established. We all have to be part of this big team to help develop it and make sure that integration, as the astronauts use all this equipment, is going to be top-notch and ready to take us even further.
Station gives students like us a unique opportunity to connect directly with astronauts orbiting Earth in the International Space Station through ham or amateur radio. Through this incredible program, we not only get to experience a live conversation with the crew on the ISS, but we also gain a deeper appreciation for science, technology, engineering, and math. This event is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to explore the wonders of space and the possibilities that lie ahead for our future. On behalf of everyone from Bayou Academy, thank you so much to the Arris program for this wonderful opportunity. We would like to extend a special thank you to Mr. Darrell Young for pouring so much time and energy into our school. We would also like to thank the Magnolia Amateur Radio Club and the Mississippi State Radio Club for traveling to our school to make this event possible.
Please bow your heads for the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude for the incredible opportunity to connect with the astronauts aboard the International Space Station. We thank you for the wonders of creation, for the mysteries of space, and for the knowledge that allows us to explore beyond our world. As we prepare for this special moment, we ask you for your blessings upon our school, our community, and everyone involved in making this event possible. Guide us in our learning, inspire us with curiosity, and fill us with wonder as we reach for the stars. May this experience spark a passion for discovery within each of us and remind us that with faith, dedication, and teamwork, that there are no limits to what we can achieve. In your name we pray, amen.
I'm going to introduce the band. We're going to have their national anthem, and then it is all y'all. All right, we are so excited to have our very own Bayou Academy band to perform the national anthem for us today. All right, so right now you're seeing us talk amongst ourselves. We are waiting for the International Space Station to fly within radio range so we can talk to the astronaut. You all got to watch the video about our astronaut, Sunita Williams. So until then, I'm gonna bless you guys with my awful space jokes. Are y'all ready? All right. So this is a pretty big event, right? Like a few hundred people, right? Do you know how you plan a space party? You plan it. Do y'all want to know why we couldn't invite more people to this really fun event? There wasn't enough space. So we still have a couple more minutes. We thought we were going to run behind, but would our head of school like to say his few words now? You know, people say that usually stuff is easy, and they say, well, it's not rocket science. Today it is. All right, so I am happy to introduce our head of school, Will Reed, and he's going to say a few words for you today.
Well, I thought I was getting away without having to come and get behind the mic. I just want everybody to give a quick round of applause for all of the people who put this together, all the decorations, all the preparations and everything else. We've got a great team that's done great things to get this thing going. But y'all didn't come here to listen to me talk, so y'all get ready to talk to NASA. Let's have a good one.
So right now, the ISS should be here at 11:42. And at the beginning, you're going to hear a bunch of loud static, and that's normal. We're waiting until we hear the astronaut, and then we'll start with the student questions. You could actually turn that down for a few more minutes. Cleveland, Mississippi, over.
Whiskey 5, Yankee Delta. This is November Alpha 1 SS, over.
Okay, we got you clear. Are you ready for your first question? NA1SS, are you ready for the first student? November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, do you copy us?
SS, over, channel 14.
NA1SS, do you copy now?
Channel 14, over.
NA1SS, do you copy? NA1SS, Whiskey 5 Yankee Delta.
November Alpha 1 SS, channel 14, over.
November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, do you copy?
November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, do you copy?
Whiskey 5 Yankee Delta, this is November Alpha 1 SS, channel 14, over.
Do you copy? November 1 Alpha Sierra Sierra, do you copy?
Whiskey 5 Yankee Delta, this is November Alpha 1 SS, channel 14, over.
November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, do you copy? Whiskey 5 Yankee Delta.
Whiskey 5 Yankee Delta, this is November Alpha 1 SS. I'm now on channel 13, and welcome to the International Space Station, Bayou Academy. W5YD, this is the International Space Station, NA1SS.
Okay, I'm going to hand it over to the first student, okay?
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today? Over.
Doing very good up here. Today we're doing all sorts of science experiments and some maintenance on the space station, as well as working out and making sure we're healthy. Over.
This is Emmy. How long did you train to become an astronaut? Over.
So training to be an astronaut takes a lot of time actually. So usually most people are a professional in whatever job they had beforehand. I was a helicopter pilot. We also have scientists on board. And then we joined the team for NASA, and to train for learning a spacecraft takes a couple years. So it probably took about 7 years before I got to fly in space. Over.
This is Levi, and what's your favorite thing about being in the ISS? Over.
Probably my favorite thing about being in the ISS is actually looking back on Earth, because it is pretty beautiful, as well as floating and pretending I'm a gymnast, and nowhere near as good as those ones in the Olympics. Over.
This is Sailor. What was your favorite subject in school? Over.
So probably my favorite subject in school was math, and that was because for me it was pretty easy, but very close second was science. Every year it was something different, and I started to love physics when I got to my high school years. Over.
This is Walker. Do you have any fun hobbies on the ISS?
So yeah, we do have a lot of fun hobbies on the ISS. One of them is trying to take photographs. Another one is trying to perfect how we can fly, sort of like a bird, but sort of like swimming. But other things than that, I also like to write a journal just because it's a very unique.
This is Carrington. What is your favorite way to exercise in space? Over.
So, gosh, there's a couple different things we can do. We can ride a bike, run on a treadmill with a harness to hold us down, or lift weights with using vacuum as the weight. And I think I actually like lifting weights. It's not something I like to do on the ground, but I actually like it quite a bit up here. Over.
This is Harper Ann. What is your favorite memory from your time as an astronaut? Over.
My favorite memory was on my very first spacewalk when I was outside on the space station and saw the aurora below me. It was pretty amazing to see all of that green motion hitting the planet, so it was pretty memorable. Over.
This is Caroline. How do you celebrate holidays in space? Over.
That's a great question. I've been up different times for all the different holidays of the year, and luckily our friends and family on the ground usually send something up that we can be surprised and find, sort of like Christmas for each holiday. I usually get something, if it was my birthday, got something for Christmas. We have some Christmas decorations and try to make Christmas cookies because I like Christmas cookies. Over.
This is Walker. After you leave the ISS, will you miss it? Over.
Absolutely, I'll miss it. Great question. It's like you are able to dream about floating in space while you're up here because you have that experience, and I think that slowly goes away once you get back to. Over.
This is Caroline. Is it hard to get used to sleeping in the ISS? Over.
Yeah, that's a great question. It is, because you don't sit down or lay down for the whole time that you're up here, and you're used to, like relaxing and laying on a bed or sitting in a chair, and you just sort of have to get used to floating and relaxing your body, and that takes a little while to get used to. Probably a month for me. Over.
This is Carver. What plants are you growing in the ISS right now? Over.
Great question. We have some little minute plants that we're growing in different gravity environments in the Japanese module, and here that I am in the Columbus module, the European module, we have different types of grass that we're growing to try to understand how the different types will grow in photosynthesis in space. Over.
This is Brennan. Is there anything that surprised you about space? Over.
Oh gosh, there's a lot that surprises me about space. One of the worst things about being here is that you lose things because things float away. Everything doesn't just fall down to the ground. So making sure that everything is tethered or everything has Velcro is one of those things that you have to just remember all the time. Over.
This is Emmy. How do you manage communication barriers with people from other countries? Over.
That's a great question. We have people from all over the world who are up here, and the general language of the space station is English, so most everybody has to learn English, but a big part of the space station is also Russian, so all of us have to learn Russian, and we have a little bit of a combination of Runglish. Our Japanese and European partners speak both English and Russian as well. Over.
This is Levi. How long did it take you to get used to microgravity? Over.
You can't get away from it, so you get used to it. I think usually we bump around a little bit and hit our heads every now and then as we're used to, jumping up as we do on Earth as we're moving, but you get used to it pretty quick and you learn how to actually move yourself and throw things accurately in space, which is different. Over.
This is Sailor. What was your training like for becoming an astronaut and preparing to live on the ISS? Over.
Yeah, we do all sorts of training to learn how things work. It's sort of like working on your car or working on your house. You have to know how the spacecraft or the space station works. Then you have to know how to do things here like drive a robotic arm, which is like flying an airplane sort of because it has pitch, roll, and yaw. And also how to do a spacewalk. And so you have to be in pretty good shape and learn how to maneuver your body in your own spacesuit, which is your own spacecraft, which is your spacesuit. Over.
How do you cope with or handle the stress of leaving your friends and family behind on Earth?
That's a great question. I made sure that I saw all my friends and family before I left, and actually had a little bit of a party before I left just to tell them thank you and for their support and love. And then while we're up here, we can do this, talk on a radio, talk on the phone, through our computer, the emails. And so we feel pretty much in touch with folks on the ground and just a little bit of a delay in some of the communications. Over.
This is Carrington. What has been your scariest experience on the ISS? Over.
Probably on my very first flight when I was at one point in time the only American up here, and there was a big part of the space station that I was here by myself. And you know, I was at one point in time when I was a little afraid of the dark, and I felt that same feeling when I was up here by, you know, in this part of the space station by myself, and started hearing all the creaks that the space station does as it gets hot and it gets cold. And once I really understood what was all going on, then I was okay. But that for that moment in time, that first night alone, it was a little bit scary. Over.
This is Harper Ann. Did you play any sports or musical instruments while you were in school? Over.
Yes, I played the piano and I swam competitively. I also ran cross country, so just sort of getting into the team sports and doing things as a group and learning different languages is sort of like learning a musical instrument. Over.
Okay, this is W5YD. We're going to lose you pretty soon. So right now we're going to say goodbye from everybody in the auditorium here.
Just hold on to him.
They went to the backup frequencies. I don't know why we weren't getting through it. Yeah, that's right. I went outside. We got to my feet. I went outside. I'm pretty sure I was on the right frequency.
All right. I would like to thank everyone so much for joining us today. You have earned your own very part of space history, and we are so thankful that you are all here. Thank you so much to our amazing radio teams that have helped us put this together. We have been working on this since before February of this year to make this happen with Arris and just to get this to happen at Bayou Academy. So thank you so much for being here on behalf of myself and Ms. Shawn. Ms. Shawn has been instrumental. She has been the, we had to have a team here, so she has been my second half for the past couple weeks. Thank you so much to all the schools that have visited us. We are so happy you are here. And thank you to you students for supporting me. And thank you to my students especially, because you have been filling me with inspiration by all of your questions. Thank you so much for being here, and we will start dismissing you shortly. Does the band want to do the Mars song? Awesome. So we have one more song for you, and then we'll start dismissing.